going to go down the line here quickly. Just name organization you're with, role, and where you're based out of.
Stephanie Diaz. I lead industry discovery and venture deal flow for Catalyst by Wellstar. Wellstar is Georgia's largest health system, and Catalyst is the innovation arm. We have a $100 million venture fund. We pilot technology inside of the ecosystem, inside of the health system, and we also have a venture studio based here. I'm based here in Atlanta.
Hello, I am Courtney Colmer, founder and CEO of Uplevel Communications, based here in Atlanta, though I am a proud Houston Texan, I must always say that. Uplevel connects companies in need of marketing and communication support with a pool of vetted professionals in the space.
Good afternoon, my name is Donald Boone. I'm the CEO and co-founder of BoxedUp. We're a cloud-based e-commerce platform for B2B equipment rental companies. So a lot like Shopify, but for rentals. So we go to existing business-to-business heavy industrial equipment rental companies, and we help them digitize their customer reservation experience by giving them a plug-and-play solution for their customer and equipment reservations. And we're headquartered here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Good afternoon. I'm Austin Webster. I'm the founder and CEO of Deeper. We're based here in Atlanta. Deeper is best described as Shazam meets IMDb. We're a product suite that's reimagining music data for creators, consumers, and streamers. Happy to be here today.
Cool. Okay, Donald, I'm gonna start with you, right?
Let's do it.
So last panel, part one, relationships that matter. Here's another example. So it was early. The exact timing is changed. I think it was December. Got connected. So Donald and I are frat brothers, right?
Yep.
Got connected on this other. We had a meeting, and then eventually I'm kind of fast forward through some of this stuff.
Sure.
Donald gets into Goodie Nation via Google for Startups, so he's a Black Founders Fund recipient, right? And again, relationships that matter. I think you were Black Founders Fund. Was it
two?
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go way back. Eventually. Well, a few months ago, I think it was February this year, I get an email from Courtney Anderson of Vibe Ride, who is Black Founders Fund 1, based in Atlanta. She's like, hey, listen, I want to connect you with VP of the United States, Harris's chief of staff around, I think, economic development or something like that. She's like, I'm like, cool. So she connects me. I get on the phone with, this is like late February at this time, with VP Harris's chief of staff on economic development. And they're like, we want to put together a panel focused on Black male entrepreneurship at the White House. She's like, long story short, she's like, who you got? Who can you recommend? Young Black men that are doing awesome stuff that are obviously entrepreneurs. I'm like, I got some guys for you. I got some. And so I sent her a list of about six to eight founders in the Goodie Nation community. And then I heard nothing. I was like, well, hey, White House, it happens, right? I go to South by Southwest and all this other stuff happened. Because she said it would happen in March. And like nothing, no communication until like the very end of March, I believe. Until an email came. Donald's name was on that list, right? So you ultimately get selected. I mean, how did you find out about it, first of all? Was it an email or what happened?
Yeah, well, first off, you get an email that says from the office of the White House. The first thing you're like, nah, I'm deleting this because this is 100% spam. It's unbelievable. It's got like the header.
Yeah.
You see the security call out. You see the White House logo. I'm like, nah, not me. But Joey mentioned it months before, and to his point, there was absolute radio silence. So, I think it's one of those things where, yeah, of course it would be an honor, but and we can get into this, but from the point that the invitation came or Joey's outreach, it made me aware kind of the opportunity. And then when they finally hit us up, and again, it's the White House, right? So they say, hey, we're excited to have you. Can you come Friday? And it's like, yo, it's Wednesday. So like they're only giving a couple days notice. I'm like, hey, it's the White House. But I had so much going on in the business with my family. I'm in Atlanta. I'm located here. So I have to fly to DC. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I just don't have the time. We're going to go. It's going to be a photo op. I'll get there. We'll smile. We'll cheese, maybe shake her hand. And then we'll leave. And that was honestly kind of my intent. And, the first thing I do is I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, guess what? She's like, what's going on? I'm like, I got an invitation to the White House. You think I should go? What? So my mom is flipping out. 24 hours later, at this point, she's called my grandma, so my grandmother's so proud of you, the whole family, everybody. And I grew up in the D.C. area, so I grew up 11 miles from the White House and had never been. So it started to make me realize that this was so much more about me, and then two, just to enjoy the ride, taking the moment and taking this opportunity, and then, thanks to Joe, I got an opportunity to go there. So it was a cool moment for me.
So what happened?
Yeah, so you get there, right? And this is exactly as you would imagine. There's Secret Service galore. It's like everywhere you look, like somebody's got a sniper rifle ready for you. But you walk through there, and I went to an HBCU. I went to North Carolina A&T, but I can Aggie Pride. But I can say, walking into a place like the White House and just seeing so many other brothers of color that look exactly like you and come from different backgrounds and different experiences, and everybody's doing amazing things, was honestly, it was breathtaking, because I hadn't been in sort of an organization around a group of people like that. And then the actual conversation throughout was actually tangible. So that was probably the cooler part. It was, honestly, I was a bit taken aback and surprised about how deep the actual conversation got. And I felt like we actually kind of made a change. And then I also got an opportunity after it was all said and done to, go take some pictures, take some selfies, and kind of really take in the moment. So it was really sort of an out-of-body experience for me, to meet the vice president, to have a discussion like that, to address her, for her to watch her kind of process everything that I'm saying, because she's not getting this stuff ahead of time, and then actually come in with actual suggestions. So I think top to bottom, the full day, I documented it all, rode the Uber there from my home where I grew up in. So it was a really cool moment. My dad calls, my mom calls, everybody's crying, and so proud of me. So it was awesome.
So just quickly, the room itself was, this is not talking like 100 people in the room. This is 20, 30 people?
I think it was up to 40.
40?
So you got 40 black men, 5 or 6 Secret Service that I could see. You've got the vice president and some press, and it's on C-SPAN. So it's and they let us bring our phones. So, I'm sneaking pictures of the VP while she's walking in. She's got her table at the front. So yeah, it's a pretty tight room, and everyone in there was immaculate and exceptional and really impressive. So I felt honored to be. I'm like, man, I am lucky that I'm amongst the rest of you brothers, because you guys are kind of blowing me out of the water. So it was awesome.
Now there were 5 other Goodie Nation founders there as well, right? And I'm telling you exactly why. Again, I put together the list. Like with Toby, I'm saying exactly why I put Donald on the list. When he was in the huddle, he showed up. He was prepared. Every single Monday, he had his plan. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then the next Monday comes, I actually did this. I did that. And here's my plan for the next week. And it got to the point he was growing so fast, he couldn't do the huddle anymore, which we want. We want you to be super busy so that, you don't have time for some of the meetings and stuff. But he was prepared, as you can probably tell, right? And so just super quick, Donald, what are you up to today?
Yeah, so our business was heavily impacted by the writer and actor strikes that went on in Hollywood. So initially, we were helping production companies produce movies and television shows. A couple of those large projects fell through. But what we were able to do is utilize the features and the technology that we developed for this sort of full end-to-end equipment workflow. And then we started selling it and licensing it out to equipment rental companies. So it's actually been sort of one of the one of the biggest blessings for us is sort of that stumble leading into something that's much bigger, much broader, growing much faster than our marketplace ever was. So now we're a B2B SaaS platform. We're selling that. We've got over 15 contracts, about $26 million of annual value for those contracts. And then we're back out on the road fundraising again. So honestly, it's one of the biggest blessings to sort of happen, kind of starting around the time of that White House visit.
And you were selected for Venture Atlanta this year?
No.
Oh,
so I
nice.
did. Yeah, at the time we were still pivoting. I wasn't even sure exactly where we were going to be. So no, I'm just here fundraising.
Cool. Okay, cool. Well, let's kick it over to Stephanie. So Stephanie, you spent some time on our team as well. Share a little bit more of the work that you did leading a huddle.
Yeah, happy to. And I want to share kind of the story that led up to that, because you reached out to me when you were getting ready to bring on a new group for the Google for Startups Black Founder Fund, Latino Founder Fund, and we're looking for, for new portfolio managers. Reached out to me individually. And then, as I mentioned, I work with Catalyst by Wellstar, and when I brought it to them, they said, "Hey, well, why don't we as Catalyst like really dive in and let's do this all together? Can Catalyst work with Goodie Nation, not just Stephanie working with Goodie Nation?" And as we dove into what that would mean, I'm like, I love that, because that means that when I show up to a huddle and I'm working with these founders, I get to open doors into Catalyst and have all of those resources and opportunities to bring. What a win-win-win. And so that's kind of where we started off. I was assigned 2 huddles, and so I was meeting twice a week with a small group of founders, getting to know them, see how they show up, adding perspective and insights for them, helping them glean advice from each other as well, and then seeing what opportunities would emerge from that.
And what opportunities did emerge?
So many, first of all, just such a rewarding experience. They were truly some of like my favorite meetings each week, to meet with these founders. We would have really vulnerable conversations about what was going on. Sometimes we really had to hold some space. And then there were amazing celebrations to be had. But, considering my role at Catalyst in industry discovery, I have to understand what the problems are inside of Wellstar if I'm going to source solutions. And so I'm in the health system listening and meeting with leaders, and was able to identify that there were some connections that I could make. And there were a couple of different ways that I could do that. Part of my role inside of Catalyst is I host think tanks for our focus areas throughout the year. And so several Goodie Nation founders have come to Wellstars Corporate to present to our senior leaders. We had Noelle Acosta of NULA in women's health, yes, Yinka of Health Haven RX, more on like the supply chain, and then Kayla Wright-Jackson of Transition came to present in Future of Work. I was in a conversation with our talent acquisition group, and they said, we used to do these scholarships, and we're trying to bring it back, where we incentivize people to come and work for Wellstar as we pay for their tuition. And I knew from working with Kayla in our huddle, that's exactly what Transition does. And so was able to, actually the day that she came for her think tank presentation, said, "Kayla, why don't you come a little early? We'll schedule a little meeting with our talent acquisition group." She presented, and what was beautiful is that, I think we stumbled into kind of a best case scenario, because I was able to advocate for Kayla inside of the system from not just a place of like knowing the value proposition of Transition, but knowing her as a founder, knowing that she shows up every week, knowing and knowing that she's going to kill it, and really being able to facilitate all of that. And so where that leads us now is that we are quickly arriving at the beginning of a pilot where Transition is going to get to activate within Wellstar and testing specifically for allied nursing healthcare programs, our scholarship program, bringing technology to that. There was none. And what we hope, what we're going to be measuring against is, can we hire more? Can we hire faster? And can we retain them longer thanks to Transition? So that's where we're at.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, Kayla's awesome. Kayla's awesome. Cool. Is there anything else you want to add? Or anything else you all are working on at
well, yeah. So, we're always working on something. I can share a little bit more, in regards to our focus areas, because we've been so grateful to source healthcare startups from within the Goodie Nation community, but that's not the only thing that Catalyst is focused on. Our thesis is that not all healthcare problems are solved by healthcare solutions. So while we're looking at digital health, we're looking at future of work, we're looking at supply chain, data, sustainability, so many customer experience. And so if someone is working on, on that in another industry, but has an idea that it could plug into healthcare, those are the ideas that we want to see. We invest pre-seed to Series A, and I'm glad to say that we do invest in pre-seed companies. So you can come and talk to us. So yeah, definitely reach out.
There it is. So we talk about, corporate partnerships and stuff like that earlier. Again, another example, founders showing up, showing out and being ready when presented an opportunity.
And I just want to also add, though, the importance of the corporates being a part of this community, too, so that they can really see. It was effortless for me to make some of those introductions and stuff. So the corporates need to be here, too.
Yeah. And I mean, again, it's like Rashida earlier, and you're a community builder as well. Knowing how to navigate and talk to people and getting buy-in and being that champion is invaluable. So.
And I just want to say really quick, I mean, the fact that you got that email from the White House, like, can we just applaud you for a second for all of the work that you've done? Yeah.
Thank you. Cool. So Courtney, I want to kick it over to you, right? So I know you were on the stage last year. Again, you may want to share a little bit more about the company, but also I want to talk about the mission and cause piece. Mission and cause is founded by Brad McAfee, who did work with us from a PR side of things. And so you want to share a little bit more about that?
Sure. And because this theme is around dope founders, I just have to say I even lit up as you talked about Kayla, because she is incredibly dope and brilliant. And I think that's just a testament, again, to the community and the ecosystem. Toby is brilliant, and just everybody. I've heard the word tap in a lot today. And so tap in with these people. Donald, I am getting time with him. But nonetheless, so Uplevel, what we really help with, at the genesis of it, a year ago when I spoke about us, I would always introduce the company by saying we connected companies in need of marketing and communication support with vetted freelancers and small agencies. We were really leaning into that need for augmenting staff. Marketing and communications are, through our lens, among the most critical functions to a company's success, because you have to communicate with somebody, whether it's your customers, your investors, your employees, so on and so forth, or the general public. But they're often very underinvested in, they're lean teams, all of that. And so the staff augmentation, the outsourcing was really where we brought value. We were connecting you with this pool of vetted experts so you could right-size your teams as needed. But through this partnership that Joey mentions with Mission and Cause, which he is the key at the root of that connection, he made an intentionally good introduction between me and Brad because we worked in the same field, and I'm always a sponge, always trying to learn, connect with people, see how I can get smarter and better. So I went into that coffee with Brad last year and, just wanted to talk to him. He had come from the agency world. I wanted to understand better, product market fit, how I could attract, these clients. And Brad McAfee is, if you hear the name ever, is just because he's in Atlanta, he's a former Porter Novelli CEO, is one of the most incredible people, just good people that you could ever connect with. And so really that coffee just led to the two of us making a connection, relating in so many different areas. He values the importance of DE&I. He understands the problem that we were trying to solve, and that coffee then became a follow-up meeting a couple of months later. And then it was, can you give me feedback on the business? And then an important point is he came from the agency world. He now has an executive search firm. What that means is that he's helping companies do the direct hiring of folks in the marketing and communication space. And so what we see is as the economy is shifting and these different drivers that take place, we have a global pandemic, there's budget cutting and there's downsizing, but at the same time it's crisis communications and we're all committed to DE&I. So there's a demand for the work, but not the resources to fully invest. And then you have people who are looking to hire full time. And so what we really came together and what the synergy that presented itself was, hey, if we partner with each other, we can essentially share clients in ways based on wherever they are from an economic or a budget standpoint. We can help them with their talent sourcing, whether it's a contractor that they need or whether it's a direct hire. And that way, there's always a demand for one of our businesses and our services. And so we announced it, a lot of work and timing went into, what that arrangement would look like. We announced it earlier this summer, or kind of midsummer, if you will. It was June, I believe. We deal with pretty long sales cycles, but we actually just closed on our first contracts through that partnership, which was great for us. It's gonna bring us, more than $100K in revenue by the end of this year, but the total estimated value over the next 12 months will be almost $400K, and that will actually bring us over the $1 million in revenue mark since we launched our MVP. So, accelerating growth is what is at the core of that. And so again, it all started with Joey.
There it is. There it is. So quick thing. So Brad saw me. I mean, he's right. Brad is one of the most just incredible humans you'll meet. He saw me on TV in summer 2020. So post George Floyd, I was on. I don't know what channel it was. Please forgive me. But he saw me on TV. He reached out. We had a conversation. It was talking. I mean, guy's been a CEO of a large company and is obviously in communications, right? So I got a lot from that conversation. Ultimately, asked for advice. Brought us on. He helped me actually to navigate our first communication around the Black Founders Fund with Google for Startups back then, and continued on to help. And so again, another full circle moment. Final story. I want to shift it over to Austin, another Black Founders Fund recipient from Google for Startups, and even before that, he was with me over at WeWork. So just quickly, Austin, want to catch the people up on more about Deeper and what you got going on now, and then I know you have an announcement to make as well.
Yeah, well, in 2020, I'll take it back. 2020, we got connected with Joey and Goodie Nation, and I like a good sports analogy. And Goodie Nation has great locker room culture. So you come in, you get plugged in, and you start learning the ways of Goodie. And one of the things the pandemic taught us was that we're nothing if on our own. We need a community, we need a village. And Goodie stepped in for us and helped us in some pretty trying times as a company to navigate the uncertainties of the pandemic by connecting us with Google and Jewel and the Black Founders Fund, as well as WeWork Labs. And as we're going through this process, you start seeing the good that comes alongside building your company when you're helping other founders on this journey, because you never know what struggles they're going to. Are they going to make payroll? Are they at the end of their rope and they need a helping hand? And so being able to connect with Goodie and having that experience, I said, wow, this is something that I want to take with me. And the idea of servant leadership started to come to me. And just being close to Joey and Jewel for so many years now, it's just contagious. And so just to backtrack then, my father passed away 11 years ago suddenly. He was my best friend. I was 28 years old, and he was a serial entrepreneur. I saw entrepreneurship my whole life. Growing up, I said I wanted no parts of that. and so be it, I found a problem that had to be solved, and I got into entrepreneurship with my company, Deeper. So my family and I, every year, we try to honor my father on his birthday by doing something special, because he was just a big presence in our lives. He was literally 6'6", just a big giant of a man who just gave everything he could to everybody. So last year, we started talking about how can we honor him on his anniversary of his passing. And I started thinking about just all the good that I've been blessed with through Goodie Nation. I said, well, what if we help other entrepreneurs who are Tennessee State alumni, because that's his alma mater. And my family just got on board with me and said, we love that idea. And so I talked to Joey about it, and he said, we can support you in this mission through Goodie Nation. And we set up the pieces in motion to launch a fund to give grants to deserving entrepreneur alumni of Tennessee State University. So yesterday was my father's birthday, September 26th, and we announced we had 2 recipients of our grant, which was not what the initial plan was, but I'll talk through that point in a minute. So we announced the $5,000 grant, non-dilutive, to a very deserving entrepreneur out of Chicago, Illinois, named Faith Cornelius Wembley. She has a recruiting and staffing company called Maven, just doing some really positive things in Chicago. But her entrepreneur journey is just like everybody else. There's ups and downs, there's trying times, and she's had moments of doubt. And it was just such a blessing to be able to come in her life and walk alongside her with my family and say, look, we see you, we got you, and we're going to help you out. So we announced her as our first recipient. And then during the process, which has been really cool, we met another entrepreneur, a young, scrappy woman who just really had a lot of passion and drive with a boutique in Nashville called B3 Boutique, named Romero Reno. And we just said, we got to give her something. Like she's got the drive, she's got the hustle, and she just needs that extra push to get her going. And so we came up with another $2,500 to give her as an honorable mention grant. So we announced both of them yesterday. They're both going to be a part of our village. And the cool thing that I didn't even tell you about, when we had our interview with them and we kind of announced to them that they're going to be the winners, both of them, without prompting, said, I want to pay this forward. I want to give back. I want to help somebody else and make sure somebody else comes behind us can get the same kind of blessing that we have. And that, to me, is the Goodie culture. And to be able to touch people who aren't connected with Goodie, but now they are, and they're already speaking that language, and know you had a part of that with my family, is I can't even put words to it. So thank you, Joey, and thank you, Jewel, Burke Solomon, and Google for just all your support in our journey and just kind of planting those seeds. And it's contagious.
Man, I know that. That's amazing. That's amazing. So you went from Google for Startups getting funding, going through Goodie Nation, and now you're paying it back, in an amazing way to honor your father. And then these recipients obviously want to pay it forward as well. And
Exactly.
that's amazing.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Give it up for all. That's addiction. Like, family taking their own funding, and this wasn't part of the original program, but you recently got into another community program. You want to share just quickly about that?
Yeah, so the cool thing about this startup journey, Deeper, we're a music technology company. We've met some pretty great people along this way, and we got connected with a gentleman named Kofi Ampadu with Andreessen Horowitz earlier this year, and he leads the Talent Opportunity Fund through Andreessen Horowitz. It's an accelerator, and it's a fund where they find startups who are impacting culture and try to give them the resources and network to get them forward. And so we were recently announced as members of Cohort 5 a couple weeks ago, so we're in the midst of that accelerator now. It's been pretty crazy, a couple weeks just taking in everything and meeting all the new people and all the connections, but it started with Goodie. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Goodie coming beside us in 2020 and helping us through that pandemic, so it's all relative.
So one more thing on the relationship piece before we go to photos. Kofi and I were, actually, he was a little bit before me at WeWork Labs.
Okay.
But also, so Ashley, by a few months, up in New York. But Ashley Ammons, she's another Goodie Nation community member and we'll get into more of this tomorrow. She had a startup, Black Founder Fund recipient. She ended up leaving the company, has moved on to, again, stay within the tech startup space. And again, that's selected Deeper, as well as I think 3 or 4 other Goodie Nation startups for that program.
Yeah, a couple other companies in the Goodie family are in our umbrella in Cohort 5, which has been cool to kind of talk through those experiences and know that we have that lineage as we go through this program. But Ashley's been killing it, just as a program manager of the fund, and it's cool to just see the ecosystem touching different parts of this journey. So yeah, it's awesome.
There it is. Awesome. Give it up for all these amazing humans, these dope folks.